Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Mountaineer Postgame Show. I'm Schuyler Callihan. That's Christopher Hall live from the WVU Coliseum. The Mountaineers winning the Big 12 Big East battle tonight against the Georgetown Hoyas, 73-60. And with that win, it also evens up the all-time series at 27 apiece. First and foremost, Chris, kind of cool to see Georgetown back in the Coliseum. It's been several years since that's happened. Anytime you get these former Big East matchups, it's always fun to watch. Brings back some old memories, a little bit of nostalgia, but a much different, a more competitive Georgetown team. They're going to have a challenging schedule here coming up, but it feels like Ed Cooley's got that team headed in the right direction.
Yeah, big difference from their game against Notre Dame. It's really I believe it was their first game away from the DC area. They played Notre Dame, forget the arena, wherever what are they, the Wizards still?
Yeah.
Someone to come the Bullets hasn't been the Bullets since the '90s, but uh, yeah, it was their first road game. Not surprised with Cooley how quickly he's going to turn that around. He's been a great coach. Um, Still holds Providence record for consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. So he'll definitely have that thing up and running. And they ended up getting a great guard at a PV from TCU, gives them length along the wing. So and a great freshman there in Sorber. So they've got some pieces, just some youth. Could tell the crowd got to him a little bit there in the second half, and once they kind of got some momentum, they didn't necessarily fold, but you could see a little bit of panic from those young guys on Georgetown.
What continues to amaze me is how many times West Virginia is able to get their hands on shots. I mean, they had six more blocks tonight. And Eduardo Andre, he really showed up big, and this is a very big positive sign for the Mountaineers if he can continue to play like that and protect the rim. But it's not just him. Tucker DeVries somehow managed to get at least one block a night. Toby Akani's active underneath. Monty Hansberry, some of the guards get on into the action. That was one of the biggest concerns entering the season. How are you going to protect the rim? How are you going to protect the paint? To this point, I mean, they've been outsized in just about every matchup against a team at their level. And it really hasn't shown to be a major concern just yet, which is got to be at least a good thing for right now that you're not going into Big 12 play here in a couple of weeks scared to death about what some of those big teams that have a lot of front court depth are going to do to you.
Yeah, a lot of good weak side help. It's obviously becoming on. It's coming to come out on film for a lot of these Big 12 opponents. So they'll have to adjust a little bit. It's probably still going to be a concern. You'll probably see a lot more ISO in the Big 12 because you got more skill. They're going to go up against more skilled forwards and centers in the Big 12 and some of those bigger matchups, obviously. So uh, I'm gonna not hold my breath on this one. Like they're kind of living by the skin of their teeth on that a little bit. But yeah, it's just great anticipation, great weak side help, a little bit of everything. Trailing on a play, not giving up on the play. So it really just comes down to effort and just the willingness to come over and help out your teammate. So yeah, it's been great, and I think a lot of it is just a high basketball IQ, just knowing when to go help out their guys.
What's so incredible is I don't know if incredible is the right word, but last year the team wins 9 games. It was filled with a bunch of things, with injuries, eligibility issues, just a whole laundry list of things that could have went wrong. Everything that could have went wrong last year. And here you are, only 8 games into the season, still very early, but it feels like this team is in a much better place, and maybe the expectations are maybe a little bit higher than we probably had set out for them at the beginning of the season. They're 6-2. They've got 3 kind of cupcakey games coming up here with North Carolina Central, Bethune-Cookman, and Mercyhurst. You win those 3 like you should, and you've already matched last year's win total, and you're 9-2 heading to Kansas to open up Big 12 play. I mean, again, it's early, but doesn't it already kind of feel like this team has the makings of one that can get an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament?
You can speak for yourself on expectations. I had them in the tourney in our
That's right. You had them in the
preseason
Final
prediction.
Four.
Not Final Four, but I had them at 19 wins and getting in the tourney.
All right, maybe the
Uh,
last 4 in.
they've definitely exceeded my expectations early because I didn't have them winning any games. in the Bahamas. I figured they could get it going. Big 12 is still tough, but it's not the gauntlet that it used to be where you're playing every team twice. So some of the teams that they're playing twice aren't really big basketball schools, aren't really that great at basketball or average. So there's definitely some wins to pick up. But now when you kind of see that Gonzaga win, the way they battled with Louisville, which Louisville coming this season wasn't expected to be good, but obviously they're turning it around quickly as well. And then beating Arizona, they get, Arizona will have their chance here in Morgantown, but and we don't know exactly how good Arizona is at the moment. But that the Gonzaga win's a big win. That's a
Yeah.
good Gonzaga team. So you kind of look at it and say, well, maybe they can pull off that Houston win in Morgantown or Iowa State win. Like I really only had them upsetting one of those ranked teams in the Big 12 and getting them into the dance because 19 wins in the Big 12 and 11-9 record,
That's plenty.
that's probably going to get you in, and that's what I had them at. So, really right now you could probably start going back through it and adding some wins to that total. So it's a long way to go. We've seen teams, not just in Morgantown but across college basketball that get hot early, but the scout gets out and they can never evolve. But this team is finding ways to win um, in different ways. So, Georgetown was a physical game. They found a way to battle through it and get out the win. They just keep grinding and just keep hustling and doing the little things to give themselves a chance to win in the second half. And that's really all you can ask for this team. And yet, they was impressed early on. They continue to improve. They haven't peaked yet. You watch this team and they just keep getting better. And I just don't think this team's peaked yet. I mean, you got a guard like Javon Small, and you start looking at the postseason, like, okay, they have a guard. Right now, you
Yeah.
got something in Tucker. Amani's playing bigger than his size. And really, when you look, Amani didn't have the game that he's had of reason. He's only a sophomore.
Yeah.
Every time Amani goes out there and battles his bigs, I think back to that Pitt game. And that Pitt game, he got goaded into 2 or 3 fouls that game. Was frustrated, calls didn't go his way. And it was a big teaching moment for him. And you watch him every single time down the floor since then. He just gets in position and does what he's supposed to do. He doesn't complain. He doesn't look at the officials. He does not get frustrated. And, the reasons mentioned that game was a big learning moment. You hated to be Pitt, but that was a big learning experience for that group, and you can see how much you could go back. I mean, I don't recommend going back and watch that game. If you want to get back and watch that game and
You're a
kind of
sicko if you do.
watch that game and then watch this game tonight, it's a completely different team. So this team just look, they're eager. You got a coach that is just locked in.
How about
He
the energy he brought? I don't know if you saw
He's
it, but
he's fighting with his guys. He's fighting. He's been
my
that way.
goodness.
He's been that way since last week. I really don't think there was a big moment for him to do that. Obviously, at Pitt, they were never really in that game. So he's just been fighting with his guys, and it's just a collective group, and they're together, and it's really what's made this fun. This early portion of the schedule fun.
I love seeing it. And I said it in my initial thoughts article. It's on the site, but there's no wrong way to do it. But Hugs was just a guy kind of stood there, or I guess sat there on his stool and just kind of, even when the games kind of got a little one sided, you felt like there was a run going for West Virginia, you just kind of sat there through it. John Beeline was kind of the same way. Um,
Most coaches are.
Most coaches are, but when you do have somebody like that, I think it can add an extra jolt of energy to your players because they see your coach getting amped up and they're like, "All right, let's go, let's do this thing."
Javon Small didn't notice. So
Well, well, at
he
least I
mentioned that,
noticed.
and he mentioned it after the game, and obviously Darren made light of it and said, "I did all that for nothing." Javon didn't even. Yeah, it definitely makes it fun, and it just shows how much everyone's bought
He
into it,
cares.
and he definitely cares, and he doesn't draw out the officials, and attitude reflects leadership, right? And you don't see there was plenty of calls in this game where we've seen in the past where it just beat the team. Or one call, they got frustrated, hung their heads, and didn't feel like anything was going their way, and they ended up losing the game like that. So totally different totally different culture. I would say the blue
Yeah,
collar work ethic is still there, and as we all are discussing the next football coach and has to be a West Virginia guy. Darren DeVries isn't a West Virginia guy. Still has that blue collar mentality. Randy Mays, he wasn't a West Virginia guy. Still had that blue collar mentality. Can have success without West Virginia guys. There's plenty of blue collar mentality out there. Most of the country is called rural America. So there's plenty of blue collar work ethic, whether it's in the cities or around the country. So it doesn't have to be a West Virginia guy. And Darren's just kind of fit in to West Virginia, locked in, and has his team winning.
Again, 8 games in, but it seems like it's a home run hire at this point. I mean, he has completely got this thing back on track at least, and we'll see what happens throughout the season and kind of where the expectations kind of flow throughout the year. But I mean, Javon Small, you mentioned it. 4 of his last 5 games, he's got more than 20 points in. Obviously, the one big game at 31. But I mean, really, he had two 26-point games too. So he's just getting going. And it felt like those first couple of games, he was just kind of figuring himself out, figuring out how to play with his new teammates. And you really didn't know that this version of Javon Small was going to happen at any point this year, let alone this
Didn't
early.
even know it existed.
You're right. And it's like, where the hell did this come from? So now that you found that, you've got that plus Tucker DeVries and his shot making ability and the defensive tenacity of Toby Okani and Sincere Harrison. You're starting to look around at this thing. You're like, I mean, damn, like they only have a 7 man rotation, but it's a pretty damn good 7 man rotation right now. So with Javon Small, I know we've got a lot of games to play. We haven't even started conference play, but is he maybe a top 2 or 3 guard in the Big 12? I'm starting to think so.
Absolutely. The way he's playing, absolutely. He's making an early case for Big 12 Player of the Year, in my opinion.
And maybe more.
You can't overlook those two performances in the Bahamas, really all three. I mean, 14-8 is a bad night for him right now. And it wasn't a bad night. So that's just kind of the way he's been, and he has attitude, whatever it takes for the team to win. He forces some shots down the stretch, but he's finding his looks. And he's probably, I mean, I guess it hasn't been that long ago, but he's the best scorer since Deuce. So he's up there. And Deuce was only a
Yeah.
sophomore, but when by the time he left, but kid can play without a doubt. He can
He
get to a
can.
spot, he can step back, and he can make whatever shot you need him to make.
Once again, the final score from Morgantown tonight: West Virginia 73, Georgetown 60. The Mountaineers moved to 6-2 on the season. Don't know if we'll do any post game shows for the next three, but we'll find. We'll take that by day by day. North Carolina Central is the next one at Tuesday or at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, tipping off on ESPN Plus. Then they have Bethune Cookman next Saturday, and then Mercyhurst a couple of days before Christmas, before they get into Big 12 play. So pretty easy schedule here coming up. You can kind of take advantage of that. Go 9-2, maybe get some more guys some playing times. Try to maybe extend that rotation to maybe 8 here in the next few games if you can. See what you got in some other guys, and just take care of business and go into Big 12 play 9-2. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. For Christopher Hall at the WVU Coliseum, I'm Schuyler. Make sure you hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI, and give us a follow on X at SI_WVU. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you back here in a couple of days on Between the Years.